You tell yourself it is only once, only a taste, only a single moment of relief, stolen from a life that feels too sharp, too heavy, too cold. The needle trembles in your hand, the liquid cloudy, chemical, unclean. But your desperation drowns hesitation. You press, and in a heartbeat the warmth spreads through your veins like liquid fire, not burning but soothing, a rush that drowns every ache, every memory, every thought you have been carrying. Your muscles unclench, your heartbeat slows, your lungs sigh as if they had been locked in cages for years and are only now allowed to breathe. The world softens at the edges. Pain is pushed out for the first time in longer than you can remember. You feel whole for the first time. You think you have escaped. Before you drift off, do me a small favor and tap the like button and subscribe, but only if you actually enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment telling me where you are listening from and what time it is for you. But already chains are tightening, invisible, silent. The first needle never asks for loyalty, only surrender, and you surrender willingly. In that moment, you are not a body in decay, not a mind in torment. You are light, floating, unbound. Your skin hums. Your vision dims into something soft. Your thoughts turn syrup slow. You close your eyes and imagine this is what it feels like to be alive, without pain, without hunger, without the gnawing of despair, and it feels like a gift. The problem is that gifts demand payment, and this one collects sooner than you expect. When the rush ebbs, it ebbs fast. Your chest feels hollow, your stomach clenches, your head aches with sudden clarity that is sharper than knives. The world rushes back, harder, louder, crueler than before. Every sound cuts. Every nerve screams. You tremble, your skin prickling with sweat. You taste bile in the back of your throat, and underneath it all is the knowledge that you could quiet it with just one more injection, and the warmth returns. The thought loops endlessly, whispering in your skull until it becomes the only truth that matters. You tell yourself it is still a choice, that you are not yet owned, that tomorrow you will refuse, that tonight is the end. But you already know you are lying. The first needle is not an experiment. It is a door, and you stepped through it without knowing it would slam shut behind you. Now there is only forward, deeper, darker. The body remembers faster than the mind admits. The next day your skin itches, your joints ache, your lungs feel too small. You sweat even in the cold, shiver even in the heat. Your bones seem to hum with emptiness. You tell yourself you are sick. You tell yourself it is nothing, but deep inside you know what you need. The craving is not loud yet, not violent, but it is steady, insistent, like a dripping tap that will not stop. You think you can ignore it, but the silence in the room becomes unbearable. Your mind circles back again and again to the warmth, the relief, the stillness of that first injection. The memory is poison, because it convinces you it was salvation. When you give in again, it is easier. The hesitation is gone. The fear muted. The needle slips in. The rush rises, and once more the world is drowned in softness. But this time the relief is shorter, the edges already frayed. You notice the sting at the sight of the injection, the faint burn in your veins. You dismiss it as nothing. You tell yourself the comfort is worth it. You do not notice the way the skin reddens, the tissue bruises, the cells begin to die. Not yet. The poison is patient. You begin to divide your hours between craving and release. You are restless without it, sluggish with it. You begin to measure your life in needles, in the time between them, in the certainty that each dose only leads to the next. Food loses flavor. Sleep becomes shallow. Dreams are haunted by fire under the skin. Your body whispers that it is falling apart, but the whisper is drowned by the louder scream of desire. Others notice before you do. Your eyes sink, your cheeks hollow, your skin grows pale, but you smile when the warmth comes, you laugh at shadows, you drift in stupor, and they see not relief but ruin beginning. Friends warn you, family pleads, but their voices sound distant, muffled under the velvet blanket of the drug. You nod, you promise, you lie, not out of malice, but because you cannot imagine stopping. Not now, not after you've glimpsed that fleeting paradise. The first needle was not the beginning of pleasure. It was the beginning of decay. You thought you had found an escape hatch from misery, but you had only walked into a trap with teeth sharper than any suffering you had known before. Already your veins are weakened. Already your skin is bruising. Already the poison is claiming you cell by cell. But you cannot see it yet, not fully. You still believe you are in control. You imagine yourself strong enough to stop, but you will not. You imagine yourself immune, but you are already claimed. The drug whispers with every beat of your heart, every shallow breath, every tremble of your hands. It owns you, though you still call it choice. And when you look back, months from now, years from now, if you survive that long, you will not remember the moment you lost yourself. You will only remember the warmth, the first needle, the illusion that you were free, when in truth you had already been condemned. And that is how it always begins. Not with terror, but with comfort. Not with chains, but with wings. Not with screams, but with silence. The first needle is never frightening. It is beautiful, and that beauty is the most horrifying part of all. It is not a medicine you are taking. It is not a drug designed in a sterile lab, measured by careful hands tested for safety. It is filth, cooked in kitchens and basements, scraped together from poisons that were never meant for flesh. The recipe for your relief is not a secret formula, not a sacred alchemy, but a grotesque stew of chemicals pulled from the shelves of desperation. This is Krokodil, and it is not just poison you inject, it is death boiled down into a syringe. You know the ingredients, even if you pretend not to. Codeine is the seed, stolen from cough syrups, the only legal fragment in the concoction. But it is stripped, broken, corrupted by what follows. Gasoline, scraped from rusting cans, its fumes already enough to make you dizzy. Paint thinner, its acrid sting searing your nostrils as it evaporates. Red phosphorus, shaved from match heads, flakes of fire waiting to ignite. Hydrochloric acid, iodine, lye, each one corrosive, caustic, eager to dissolve. They are stirred together, not with precision, but with guesswork. Not in sterile glass, but in dirty spoons, in pots crusted with residue, in syringes already used too many times. The smell alone tells the truth. A stench of gasoline, acrid and metallic, clinging to everything it touches. The liquid is not clear but cloudy, brownish, greenish, yellowish, a broth of poison. When you draw it into the syringe, you tell yourself it is medicine, but the reek betrays you. It is not medicine. It is rot liquefied, it is decay made injectable, and you push it into your veins because you have already convinced yourself that relief is worth more than life. The cheapness is its lure. Heroin is expensive, scarce, out of reach for the poor, the desperate, the lost. But Krokodil is cheaper, faster, made with ingredients found in any corner store. A handful of rubles, a trip to the pharmacy for codeine, a stop at the hardware shop for solvents, and the drug is born in minutes, a high as strong as heroin, but at a fraction of the cost. That is the trap. Relief sold cheap, life bought and consumed for pennies. You do not think of what happens next. Not yet. You do not think of the solvents tearing into your veins, stripping the walls of tissue, burning through blood vessels. You do not think of the phosphorus eating away at bone, softening it, weakening it, until it splinters. You do not think of the gasoline dissolving fat and muscle, leaving cavities beneath the skin. You do not think of infection, of bacteria crawling through your bloodstream, feasting on your flesh. You only think of the warmth, the silence, the stillness that comes when the needle empties. But the poison works quickly, faster than you imagine. The site of injection reddens, swells, hardens, skin turns pale, then grey, then green. Ulcers form, bubbling with pus, the smell sickly sweet, nauseating. You cover them at first, bandage them, hide them from others. But the wounds spread, deepen, rot. Flesh slows away, exposing sinew, muscle, sometimes bone itself, gleaming white under the thin layer of decay. The drug is not nicknamed Krokodil for poetry. It is because your skin begins to resemble scales, greenish, peeling, hardened like a reptile's hide. You are transforming, not into an animal, but into a corpse that still walks. And yet, you return to it, because the craving is louder than the pain, stronger than the smell, more urgent than the rot. You tell yourself the sores will heal, that you will stop tomorrow, that one more dose will not matter. But every dose is another layer of poison, another strip of flesh dissolved, another inch of life burned away. The cheapness convinces you it is harmless. The speed convinces you it is efficient. The relief convinces you it is necessary. But all it is death sold at a bargain. Imagine yourself preparing it. You sit at a filthy table, a spoon before you, powder scraped into it, liquid added from a bottle of cleaner, fumes stinging your nose. You hold a lighter underneath, watching it bubble, foam, hiss. The smell makes your stomach churn, but your hands are steady. You filter it poorly through scraps of cotton, draw the cloudy liquid into a syringe. It looks wrong, smells wrong, feels wrong, and still you push it into your vein. The warmth spreads, the pain quiets, and for an hour you believe it was worth it, until the itching begins, the burning, the sting under the skin, until the flesh itself begins to die. You would not last a day in this. The poison would eat you alive, faster than you could believe. Your skin would blister, your veins collapse, your flesh rot away, while you begged for another injection. You imagine drugs as escape, but Krokodil is not escape. It is execution, only delayed long enough to keep you coming back for more. And this is the horrifying truth. You do not inject the drug, you inject the grave, and every dose is just another shovelful of dirt, piling higher until there is no part of you left to bury. The first time you notice it, you tell yourself it is nothing. A red patch where the needle went in, a little swelling, a little bruise. You pull your sleeve down and ignore it. You've ignored worse. But Krokodil does not let you ignore it for long. It is not a silent guest. It announces itself in your flesh, writes its signature on your skin. What begins as a bruise becomes a wound. What begins as a wound becomes a crater. What begins as a crater becomes rot. The body does not just break under this drug, it betrays you cell by cell until you are a stranger in your own skin. At first the pain is small, a sting, an itch under the surface. The spot where you injected turns hard, the vein angry and swollen. The skin darkens from pink to purple to a strange grey-green that does not look human. You prod it and it hurts like a burn. You tell yourself it's normal, that it will heal. But Krokodil is not content with the vein. It leaks into the tissue, carrying the solvents and phosphorus deep, dissolving fat and muscle like acid. The pain intensifies, a steady throb that flares with every heartbeat, as though your own pulse is a hammer pounding the wound deeper. Then comes the smell, sweet and foul at once, like meat left in the sun, like rust and gasoline. It seeps from your skin, from the sores that open and refuse to close. Bandages stick to them and tear flesh away when removed. Pus bubbles, greenish and thin, streaking your clothes. You start to wrap rags around your arms, not for healing, but for hiding. You avoid mirrors. You avoid sunlight. The body that once obeyed you is turning against you, making you repulsive even to yourself. The scales appear next. They are not true scales, but patches of hardened skin, crusted and cracked, greenish or black, peeling at the edges. They cover your arms, your legs, your chest, even your face. Where the skin peels away, the tissue beneath is raw, bright red, weeping fluid. Sometimes you glimpse bone, pale and obscene, jutting through gaps where muscle used to be. You try to cover it, to pretend it isn't there, but the rot keeps spreading. Infections bloom like dark flowers. Your immune system, already weakened by malnutrition and poison, cannot fight them. Bacteria crawl through your bloodstream, nesting in wounds, feeding on dead tissue. Fever shakes you. Sweat pours from you, chills rattle your teeth. You take another injection to quiet the pain, but it only feeds the fire, pushing more poison into already dying flesh. Your veins collapse, forcing you to inject into muscles, into wounds, into anywhere the needle will still slip. Each shot deepens the decay. You scratch constantly. The itch is unbearable, as though insects crawl under your skin. Your nails tear at the sores, opening them wider, spreading infection further. Blood and pus smear under your fingers. You cannot stop. The drug makes your nerves scream, your skin crawl, your muscles twitch. Even as your body rots, you feel it too vividly, every nerve alight with agony. You try to wash, but water stings like acid. Soap does nothing against the smell. You pull long sleeves over your arms, but they soak through with fluid. People stare. Children cry when you pass. Family turns away. Unable to look, your reflection becomes a horror you do not recognize. Eyes sunken, cheeks hollow, lips cracked, teeth loose, skin mottled with bruises and sores. You resemble the reptile the drug is named for, not in power but in decay, a creature sloughing off humanity piece by piece. Imagine looking down at your own arm and seeing it no longer as flesh but as ruin. The skin discolored, the veins hard as wires, the wound open, bone glinting pale beneath a layer of blackened tissue. You wrap it, inject again, shudder with relief, and feel the wound throb with renewed poison. You know you are destroying yourself. You know you are rotting alive. But the craving is louder than reason, louder than fear, louder than the smell of your own decay. The body's betrayal is not slow. It is swift, merciless, undeniable. In weeks, not years, Krokodil turns skin to scales, veins to scars, muscles to mush. It leaves you walking but already half dead, a living corpse in rags and bandages, staggering from one dose to the next. You thought you could hide it, but the drug wants to be seen. It wants the world to know what it is doing. It carves its mark into you until you are its advertisement. You would not last a day in this body. The pain, the smell, the sight of yourself rotting from the inside out would break you before the craving did. But for the addict, the craving makes it survivable, not in truth, but in illusion. Every injection is a temporary erasure of horror, even as it makes the horror worse. This is the trap. This is the betrayal. Your body becomes both prison and executioner, and Krokodil holds the keys. It begins beneath the surface, where you cannot see it, where blood and poison mix together in silence. The skin shows only hints at first, the bruises that never fade, the red patches that swell, the strange green tint spreading like mold under paint. But Krokodil does not stop at bruises. It does not confine itself to the surface. It burrows, it eats, it rots. You inject into your vein, and the drug slips outward, seeping through walls meant to contain blood, carrying gasoline and acid into the spaces where muscle should grow, where fat should protect, where tissue should heal. And instead of life, it plants rot. The ulcers deepen. What once looked like scratches now gape like mouths, oozing pus that smells of sweetness and rot at once, a perfume of death clinging to your clothes. Bandages stain brown within an hour of being wrapped. The skin around the wounds hardens, then peels away, curling like burned paper until it falls in strips. Beneath is not healing flesh but rot, black tissue soft as wax, crumbling when touched, revealing bone beneath. You catch glimpses of white glistening through the holes, the skeleton of yourself shining in patches. It should terrify you, but the craving is stronger than terror. You inject again, and the warmth erases fear for an hour. Gangrene takes hold quickly. Flesh that should be red with blood turns dark, then green, then black. It loses all sensation. You press a finger into your skin and feel nothing, as if the limb does not belong to you. But soon the numbness turns to agony, nerves screaming as the dead tissue presses against the living. The pain radiates outward, burning hot, stabbing deep, but relief never comes. The infection creeps further, climbing up arms and legs, crawling across chest and back. You smell yourself dying, the stench clinging to every room you enter, even alone. You cannot escape it. Veins collapse, shrivel, vanish. The drug eats them faster than you can find new ones. You begin to inject into the ulcers themselves, directly into the wounds, pushing poison into already dead flesh. Each injection spreads the rot wider, feeding infection, spreading decay. You know it makes it worse, but you cannot stop. The craving is louder than reason, louder than the screaming nerves, louder than the sight of your own skin sliding from muscle like wet cloth. Neighbors recoil when they see you. Family members cover their faces. Children whisper that you look like something from a nightmare, a monster walking among them. They are not wrong. Your body is no longer entirely yours. It belongs to the drug, to the decay it spreads. You are not healing between doses. You are decomposing while still alive, a corpse walking on bones exposed to daylight. And yet, the worst part is that you accept it. The craving teaches you to ignore what you see, to dismiss what you smell, to pretend the rot is temporary. You wrap yourself in dirty bandages. You hide under layers of clothing. You avoid mirrors. You take another dose. And when the warmth fills you again, you feel almost normal, almost human, until the hour ends and you are dragged back into the prison of your own rotting body. Imagine lifting your sleeve and seeing scales of green and black, strips of skin peeling away, raw muscle weeping fluid beneath, patches of bone exposed and gleaming. Imagine the smell, sweet, thick, cloying, enough to make strangers gag. Imagine your own hands trembling as you inject again into the very wound that betrays you. You know it is madness. You know it is suicide. But in that moment, all you care about is silencing the craving for another hour. The rot beneath the skin is not slow. It does not creep over years. It devours in weeks, in months. A healthy body collapses into ruin before a season turns. There is no recovery, no reversing, no escape. Once it begins, it spreads until the body is riddled with holes, until the skin is mottled with black scars, until the limbs threaten to fall away. You are no longer fully alive, but not yet fully dead. You exist in the in-between, a body decomposing before its heart has stopped. You would not last a day in this state. The sight of your own flesh sliding away, the smell of your own body rotting, the agony of nerves firing endlessly would break you before the craving did. You imagine you could stop, but Krokodil does not allow stopping. It replaces will with hunger, replaces choice with command. And so you continue injecting, even as the rot beneath your skin makes it clear you are already a corpse. The drug is only letting you walk a little longer before the grave closes in. At first you thought you were using the drug. By now you know the drug is using you. You wake up not as yourself but as a vessel of craving. It begins before your eyes even open. The ache in your bones, the crawl under your skin, the sharp pang behind your ribs where breath should be. The craving is not a thought. It is a pulse, a voice, a rhythm stronger than hunger or thirst. You cannot think past it. You cannot imagine anything else. All you want is the next injection. All you are is the next injection. Every day is divided into two kinds of hours. The hour when the warmth is in your veins, and the long cold hours when it is not. Without it, your body is a cage of needles turned inward. Your stomach cramps, your muscles spasm, your skin itches until you claw at it. Sweat drips down your face even in the cold, your teeth chatter, your joints ache like broken glass. You shiver and burn at the same time, freezing and feverish, your heart hammering like a trapped bird. Your eyes blur, your ears ring, your thoughts scatter. You tell yourself you will not do it this time. You tell yourself you will ride it out. But the craving grows until it drowns every word, every promise, every plan. When you finally inject, it is no longer about pleasure. The warmth lasts only moments now, a flicker instead of a flame. It does not lift you up. It merely stops you from drowning. You inject not to feel good, but to feel less bad. You are no longer chasing euphoria. You are fleeing pain. Each dose buys you an hour of reprieve at the cost of days of decay. You know it. You feel it. And you cannot stop. Your life collapses into a single loop. Seeking, scoring, cooking, injecting. Food loses meaning, sleep loses depth, friends and family lose patience. You sell what you have, clothes, tools, even heirlooms for another dose. You steal from those who once helped you. You trade dignity for survival. Lies spill from your mouth as easily as breath, not because you enjoy lying, but because the craving rewires you. The truth becomes irrelevant. Only the next injection matters. You begin to haunt places you once avoided. Basements that smell of gasoline and sweat. Kitchens with stained counters. Spoons blackened with flames. People as hollow as you are, sitting in circles. Sleeves rolled up, eyes vacant. They are your reflection, rotting, trembling, waiting for the needle. You sit among them, bandages leaking through your clothes, sores crawling up your arms, and you feel a kind of kinship. Not friendship, not warmth, just mutual decay. You are all prisoners of the same hunger. Time dissolves. Days blend into nights. Nights into days. You cannot remember when you last ate a proper meal, when you last slept without waking gasping, when you last went an hour without thinking of the drug. Your body shrinks, your skin sags, your teeth loosen. You see your reflection sometimes, a face you do not know, eyes sunken, lips cracked, hair falling out. You cover mirrors. You stop answering to your own name. You become the craving. Imagine waking at dawn in a filthy room, sweat soaking your shirt, your body shaking so hard you can barely hold the syringe. Your fingers fumble, spill liquid onto the floor. You curse, scramble, scrape up what you can, desperate not to lose a drop. You jab at your arm, but the vein has collapsed, so you inject into a sore, biting your lip until blood runs. The warmth spreads for a heartbeat, and you sob with relief. Then the relief fades, and you start thinking of the next dose before this one even ends. That is your life now. A countdown between injections, a slow-motion execution by craving. You would not last a day in this prison. The craving would terrify you, the pain would break you, the cycle would crush you. You imagine addiction as weakness, but it is a cage built inside the brain, locking every door you try to open. Krokodil is not just a drug. It is hunger given form. A hunger that devours you from the inside out, while convincing you that it is saving you. You cannot bargain with it. You cannot reason with it. You can only feed it until nothing is left to feed. And the most horrifying part is that you know it. Every injection, every wound, every lie, you know exactly what it means. You know you are dying. You know you are rotting alive. But the craving roars louder than your own survival. That is the prison. That is the sentence. And the door does not open. The body is already gone. Now the world begins to follow. Dignity is the next thing the drug takes from you. And it does not take it quietly. It rips it away piece by piece until you are no longer a person in the eyes of others, only a warning. At first you still believe you can hide it. You wear long sleeves over the sores, wrap your arms in bandages, keep your head down. You tell your family you're tired, that you're sick, that it's only temporary. You avoid your friends. You move at night. You speak less. But the drug will not let you disappear gracefully. It wants you visible. It wants you marked. Your skin is a billboard of decay. The bandages leak through with pus and blood, staining your clothes. The smell lingers no matter how much you wash. Your teeth are loose, your eyes sunken, your hair falling out in clumps. When you walk into a shop, people step back without realizing they're doing it. Children stop playing to stare. Their faces are wide with fear, not curiosity. Mothers pull them closer. You hear whispers as you pass, Krokodil, Addict, Monster. They are not wrong. You are becoming something unrecognizable, even to yourself. Your family tries to help at first. They scold, they plead, they cry. They tell you to stop, to go to a clinic, to think of them. You promise, you swear, you lie, you steal from them when the craving wins. Jewelry, money, food. You sell their things to strangers for a few rubles, enough to buy more poison. One by one, they stop answering the door. One by one, they turn their faces when you appear. You become a stranger in the only places that once held you, and still the craving roars. Friends vanish even faster. No one wants to be near someone who smells of rot, who sits scratching at sores, whose bandages slip to reveal bone. Invitations stop. Calls stop. You wander streets alone. The people who once knew your name now cross the street when they see you. Not out of cruelty, but out of fear. Fear of infection, of your need, of what you've become. Even the places that once took everyone begin to reject you. Stores refuse to sell to you. Buses refuse to carry you. Shelters turn you away, claiming no space. Hospitals glance at you and shuffle you out of waiting rooms. You are too far gone, too visible, Too much of a burden. The smell, the sores, the constant twitching. They do not want it inside their walls. You are left outside, in alleys, in basements, in stairwells, sitting on cold concrete with bandaged limbs and shaking hands. You try to hide, but hiding requires energy you no longer have. Bandages slip, clothes tear, your sores leak openly. You mutter to yourself without realizing it. You scratch until you bleed in public. People stare and then look away quickly. You hear their disgust in their silence. Even beggars step back from you. You are not just poor, you are rotting. You are contagion walking. Imagine yourself standing in a crowd, craving clawing at your chest, your arms wrapped in filthy bandages, your smell rising like a warning. Eyes turn, hands cover noses. Conversations stop as you pass. You feel them watching, judging, condemning. You want to shout that you are still human, that you are still here, but your voice cracks, your words slur, your eyes dart. You see pity only as it flickers into revulsion. The drug whispers that none of this matters. It tells you that only the next injection counts, that you can endure anything as long as the warmth returns. And for a while you believe it. You stumble into a basement, cook your poison, inject into a wound, feel the rush. For an hour the shame fades, the stares fade, the cold fades, but the hour ends and the world comes back, colder and crueler than before. The collapse of dignity is not just social, it is inside you too. You stop caring about clean clothes, about hiding wounds, about lying. You let the bandages rot on your skin. You eat scraps, drink from puddles, sleep on floors. You lose track of days, of seasons. You wake in stairwells, in alleys, in strangers' kitchens. Your body rots, but your craving still beats inside you like a second heart. You are no longer living, but you cannot stop moving. You would not last a day in this collapse. The shame alone would drive you to flee. The stares, the whispers, the loss of everyone you loved would crush you long before the sores did. But Krokodil does not let shame free you. It turns shame into another wound, another place to inject itself. You keep moving forward even as the world recoils, because the drug has stripped you of everything but the need. Dignity is gone. Humanity is next. There comes a point when the warmth disappears entirely. The rush, the euphoria, the brief moment of floating, those were illusions, already dying after the first needle. By now, you are left only with the ache. You still inject, but there is no high anymore. The poison does not lift you. It merely postpones collapse. It silences the worst of the screaming nerves for a few moments, but the agony underneath has grown too vast to be drowned. You are no longer chasing relief. You are prolonging suffering, stretching it thinner, like pulling a thread that will never break. Your body has become a map of pain. Every inch is a wound. Your arms are cratered with ulcers, scabs peeling back to show grey tissue, pus bubbling like swamp water. Your legs tremble under your weight, sores climbing your thighs like ivy. Your hands shake constantly, fingers twitching, knuckles swollen and purple. Even your face carries the mark now, skin tight, lips cracked, teeth loosening, hair brittle and falling out in handfuls. There is no part of you untouched. The drug has seeped into everything, leaving nothing but agony behind. Pain is no longer sharp. It is constant, humming under your skin like an electric current. It burns and freezes at once. Your muscles cramp, your bones ache, your nerves fire randomly, sending jolts through your limbs. Sleep offers no escape. You drift for minutes at a time, twitching, moaning, waking in sweat-soaked clothes. Dreams are nightmares of fire under the skin, of drowning in black liquid, of your own flesh peeling away. You wake, and the dream continues in daylight. The veins you once used are gone, collapsed, sealed. You inject wherever you can, into muscles, into sores, even under the skin where the fluid pools in lumps. Each shot deepens the rot. Each shot spreads the infection. You know it, you feel it. But the craving is still there, whispering, begging, promising that maybe this time it will bring relief. And for a heartbeat it does, just enough to make you do it again. Withdrawal is worse than death. When you try to stop, your body rebels violently. Your stomach cramps until you vomit bile. Your joints twist in spasms. Your skin crawls with invisible insects. Your temperature swings from fever to chills, sweat soaking your clothes. Your heart races. Your breath shortens. Your vision blurs. You scream without meaning to. Claw at yourself, bang your head against walls, just to distract from the craving. The pain is so total it erases thought. You cannot picture the next hour, let alone the next day. All you know is that a small injection could silence it. All you know is that you must have it. The drug no longer numbs the pain, it becomes part of it. Each injection burns under the skin, stings in the vein, sends a rush of fire up your arm. Your heart stutters, your lungs seize, your vision flickers. For a moment you wonder if this is the one that will kill you. For a moment you hope it is, but then the warmth spreads, not relief, just a heavy numbness, and you slump back against the wall, trembling, already thinking of the next dose. Imagine living in this state, every nerve screaming, every muscle aching, your body rotting alive while your mind begs for more of the poison doing the rotting. You inject and it hurts. You abstain and it hurts worse. Pain has no escape, only degrees. You lose the ability to remember what comfort felt like. You forget what it means to have a body that isn't agony. Pain becomes your normal. You measure your days not by sunrise and sunset but by pulses of suffering, by the minutes between injections, by the brief dullness that passes for relief. People talk about rock bottom as if it is a single place you reach, but there is no bottom here. There is only falling deeper and deeper, the walls of your life closing in as your body collapses. Pain is no longer punishment. It is the atmosphere you breathe, the water you swim in, the only thing left that feels real, and still, you cannot stop. You would not last a day here. The constant agony would break your mind long before your body failed. The knowledge that the only thing that quiets the pain is the very thing creating it would drive you mad. But Krokodil addicts do not have the luxury of madness. They keep injecting, keep rotting, keep walking on bones exposed to daylight. The pain is endless, but so is the craving. It is not living. It is a slow, deliberate erasure of life, one injection at a time. There is a point at which you no longer pretend you are alone in this. The city itself begins to show you mirrors, stairwells and basements, filled with versions of you at different stages of decay. You follow the smell before you see it. A sickly sweetness that clings to concrete and metal railings. The smell of rotting flesh and cheap chemicals. A smell that does not belong to death alone but to death that still walks. You go down a stairwell, past peeling paint and burned match heads, and you enter the street of the dying. It is not a street in the map sense. It is an apartment block with windows boarded, a squat with no doors, a row of concrete benches under an overpass, any place forgotten by everyone else. Here Krokodil has built its kingdom. The walls are stained with soot. Spoons blackened from flames lie scattered on the floor. Syringes glint in the dim light like fangs. People huddle in corners, bandages grey with old pus, limbs wrapped in rags, eyes vacant. Some mumble to themselves. Some scratch until blood runs. Some sit perfectly still, rocking slowly, their faces slack as if already gone. You step over bodies sprawled on thin mattresses, their skin green and peeling, bone glinting through holes in arms and legs. A man sits with his back against the wall, head drooping, his breath shallow, a syringe still in his hand. A woman leans over him, whispering words you cannot hear, her own arms a tapestry of sores. In the far corner, a young boy, no older than you were when you first tried it, stirs a spoon with trembling fingers, the fumes curling up into his face. You want to speak, to warn, to scream, but your throat is dry, your craving louder than your horror. You move among them like a ghost, one more dying body among dying bodies. The floor is littered with everything but hope. Crumpled rags soaked with blood, cotton balls blackened with chemicals, empty bottles of iodine and gasoline, matchboxes scraped bare. A single bare bulb flickers above, casting everyone in sickly yellow light. You see eyes reflecting it, dull, sunken, rimmed with red. They glance at you without recognition. There is no community here, only parallel descent. No one helps anyone else, except to share a dose, to share a spoon, to share a needle when nothing else is left. Infections travel faster than whispers. You know it is killing you faster, but you still reach for the shared needle, because the craving does not care. The noises are low, animal sounds. Whimpers, coughs, the wet rattle of phlegm, the scrape of nails on skin, the hiss of lighters under spoons. Occasionally a sharp cry cuts through when someone collapses or a wound tears open. But mostly it is quiet, the quiet of exhaustion, of bodies too weak to move. It is a silence more terrifying than screams. You realize this is not a den of sin or a den of pleasure. It is a waiting room for the grave. Imagine sitting among them, your own sores oozing through your bandages, your own veins collapsed. You hold a syringe in your shaking hand, waiting for your turn at the spoon. Around you are bodies like yours, rotting while still breathing, their faces blank. You smell the rot, feel the heat of fever radiating from skin, hear the faint rattling coughs. You inject, the warmth spreads for a heartbeat, and you slump back against the wall. Someone next to you coughs blood onto the floor. No one moves to help, no one reacts. You all stare at the ground, waiting for the next hour, the next dose, the next collapse. The street of the dying is not just a place, it is a state. Once you are here, you are no longer hiding, you are no longer pretending. You are part of a procession of bodies rotting together, a chorus of craving and decay. Outside, people whisper about you like you are a cautionary tale. Inside, you do not whisper at all. You sit, you inject, you rot, you wait. Death does not hurry here. It strolls, collecting at leisure. You would not last a day in this street. The smell would drive you out. The sight would haunt you. The despair would crush you. But Krokodil makes even this tolerable. It dulls the horror just enough for you to stay. It dulls the hunger just enough for you to inject again. It dulls life just enough for you to keep living while dying. This is the kingdom of Krokodil. Not glamour, not rebellion, not freedom. Just a waiting room full of bodies that forgot how to leave. Death does not arrive like a clean blade for the Krokodil Addict. It seeps in, slow and uneven, the way water creeps under a closed door. You do not wake one day and find yourself dead. You wake each day and find more of yourself missing. The drug has already taken your skin, your veins, your dignity. Now it begins to take your insides, hollowing you from within until your organs fail one by one. You are still breathing, still craving, still injecting, but inside you are already gone. It begins with the liver, poisoned by solvents, battered by cheap alcohol, choked by infection. It swells, hardens, aches beneath your ribs. Jaundice stains your eyes and skin, turning them yellow, then grey. You press a hand to your side and feel the dull throb of an organ failing quietly, drowning in toxins. Your stomach rebels, vomiting anything you try to eat. Hunger is constant, but food is useless. It passes through you without nourishment, leaving you weaker each day. The kidneys follow. They filter nothing now, overwhelmed by chemical sludge, by the debris of your own decaying flesh. Fluid pools in your ankles, your fingers, your face. You swell grotesquely even as you waste away. Your urine turns dark, then red, then almost stops. A deep ache blooms in your lower back. Sometimes you see flashes of light behind your eyes, hear ringing that isn't there. The poison is in your blood now, circulating everywhere, a tide you cannot stop. Your heart beats faster to keep up, but it too is poisoned. It flutters irregularly, skipping, stuttering, then pounding in panic. You feel it hammering against your ribs when you climb stairs, when you stand up, when you simply breathe. Sometimes it feels like a bird trapped inside your chest, battering itself to death. You clutch at it, waiting for it to burst. You wonder if this is the dose that will stop it. Sometimes you hope it is. Your lungs, already black with soot and infection, begin to drown you. Pneumonia sets in, or abscesses, or simply the collapse of tissue from years of inhaling fumes and bacteria. You cough until you retch, until blood streaks the phlegm, until you can no longer speak between fits. Breathing becomes a conscious act, each inhale shallow, each exhale wheezing, each night spent propped upright because lying down makes you choke. Sleep drifts further away, replaced by a haze of fever and hallucination. And yet the craving remains. Even as your body shuts down, the need does not lessen. You are too weak to stand, but still you crawl toward the syringe. Your hands shake so badly you spill the liquid, but you scrape up what you can, desperate not to lose a drop. You jab at whatever vein or wound will take it. The injection burns, your heart flutters, your vision blurs, and for a heartbeat you feel less bad. Not good, not high, just less bad. It is enough to keep you moving one more hour into death. Your mind falters too. Memory frays. Time dissolves. You cannot remember the last day you did not inject. You cannot remember the last meal you ate without vomiting. You cannot remember your own reflection before the scales, the sores, the hollow eyes. Names slip away, faces blur. The craving fills every space once occupied by thought. You live from one injection to the next, an animal running a maze you built around yourself. Imagine lying on a filthy mattress in a dim room, ribs visible through your thin skin, sores leaking onto stained fabric. You cannot rise without gasping. Your hands tremble as you draw up the cloudy liquid, spilling some on your bandaged legs. You inject into a wound, because there is nowhere else left. The warmth spreads thinly, a weak echo of the first rush. You close your eyes and listen to your heart flutter like paper in the wind. You know it will stop soon, but the craving is still louder than fear. You drift, half conscious, already half gone. This is the slow death of Krokodil. Not a single moment, but thousands of moments. Each one a little more of you lost. Organs fail, bones soften, skin rots, mind dissolves, and still you walk. Inject, crave. You are a corpse animated by poison, dragging yourself from 1 hour to the next. Death does not surprise you when it comes. You have been living inside it for months. You would not last a day in this stage. The knowledge that your body is collapsing from within, that your heart could stop mid-injection, that your lungs could fill with fluid as you sleep, that you are rotting inside as surely as outside, this would break you before the craving did. But krokodil addicts endure even this, not because they are strong, but because the drug has hollowed out everything but the need. Slow death is the only life left. Death finally comes, but not as a single clean moment. It is a blur of fevers, seizures, gasps, and darkness. By the time your body stops moving, you have already been dying for months. Your skin is a patchwork of ulcers and scales, your veins collapsed, your organs burned and poisoned. You do not die with a scream or a shudder. You die with a whisper, with a sigh, with the syringe still lying beside your limp hand. You die not in a hospital bed surrounded by family, but in a stairwell, a basement, a mattress stained with your own decay. No one is surprised. Death here is not an event. It is a statistic, an expectation, another body removed from another ruin, another addict gone. Neighbors notice only when the smell changes from rot to final stillness. Someone calls the authorities, and men with gloves and masks arrive, lifting what's left of you into a bag. Your bandages are soaked through, your fingers curled into claws, your mouth open as though you were still trying to breathe. You are carried away quietly, just one more bundle of waste removed from the edge of the city. There is no vigil, no ceremony. Maybe a clerk writes your name on a form. Maybe not. Maybe a relative is called. Maybe no one answers. The morgue is full of bodies like yours. Grey, hollow, scarred, unrecognizable. They are tagged, stored, burned, or buried in trenches. If you are lucky, a coffin is found. If you are not, you are placed in a pit among others. Earth covers you quickly. No flowers, no headstone, a shallow grave on the outskirts of the cemetery, or a nameless cremation. The world forgets faster than the ground swallows. The objects you left behind are few: a spoon blackened by flames, a lighter, a syringe. Your clothes are thrown away, your belongings sold or discarded. Your name fades from the lips of those who once knew it. Even your face fades in their memories, replaced by the image of the sores, the smell of rot, the fear they felt when they saw you last. You are not remembered as you were, only as what the drug made you. The only thing that endures is the warning, whispered between others still using. They say your name like a ghost story, point to the mattress where you lay, shake their heads. They light their spoons anyway. They inject anyway. They tell themselves they are different. They are not. You become a cautionary tale. No one heeds. A photograph pinned to a clinic wall. A statistic in a report. A body buried without marker. Imagine your grave. A patch of earth at the edge of a cemetery, unmarked except for a wooden stake with a number. The soil still smells faintly of chemicals. Rain falls soaking through the mound, washing away footprints. In weeks the grass grows back. In months no one remembers which mound was yours. In years even the stake is gone, rotted or removed. Only the earth holds you now, nameless, faceless, weightless. You do not get a legacy. There are no mourners to tell stories of your life. No children to keep your photograph. No friends to speak your name. The drug took all of that long before it took your breath. It rotted away not just your body but your connections, your history, your identity. You die twice. First when the craving erases you, second when the earth swallows you. The grave is only the final punctuation mark. You would not last a day on this path, because you would see this ending from the start and run. But addicts do not run. They crawl forward, hour by hour, dose by dose, until the grave is not a threat but a release. This is the horrifying fate of a crocodile addict: to rot alive, to die alone, to be buried without memory, to vanish as though you had never existed, except for the scars you left on others as a warning they will not heed.